Okay, this is the trifold card that we're going to make in this video, and this is what all of the different panels look like when they're stretched out. And this is the trifold. Okay, these are the stamps that we used for the piece. This one is from the Stampscapes Nature Set 2. This one is from the Nature Set 7. The little man walking with the boy is number 165A, The Hiker and Child. This one is from the Nature Set 14. And this one also is from the Nature Set 14. This one is from the Nature Set 16. And this one is from the Nature Set 14. And these three are from the Hero Arts October 2016 kit. Then these are the alcohol markers that I used. This time I just used alcohol markers. I didn't do any coloring with ink. Everything was stamped in Memento Tuxedo Black. And these are the template for the trifold card. And these are the sizes for the glitter masks. And these are the sizes for the stamping areas. Okay, the template for the card base is you're going to start with a 5.5 by 12 inch piece of paper. You're going to score it at 4 inches, then another 2 inches, then another 2 inches, and another 2 inches. Then at 1.5 inches from the top and the bottom, you're going to cut between the 4 inch and the last 2 inch on the top and the bottom, so that it's a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. Okay, I'm not going to show how to make the actual trifold card itself. I provided the template for doing it. We're going to start right from the stamping and coloring. Okay, I've prepared my trifold card like this, and I scored it at 4 inches, then I scored it at 6, scored it at 8, and scored it at 10. And then I cut it between the 4 and the 10 here. This is 1.5 inches, and also here at 1.5 inches. Then I cut some glitter cardstock, and this piece right here is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. This piece over here is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. These 6 along here are 1 3/4 by 1 1/4. And then the 3 in the middle is 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. And so the stamped area that's going to go on each of these is going to be a 1/4 inch less. And so what we're going to start with here is a 3.5 by 5 inch, which is what we're going to do our stamped scene for this portion right here. Okay, I'm going to use my stamp positioner, and I'm going to ink up the stamp with the Snowy Brook or whatever it is. Okay, now I've stamped some of my stamps using Stays-On ink onto overhead transparency, so I can kind of use this as a template to see how I want to line things up. And so I'm going to want to use this particular one here, and so I want to see if I can get it to work. And so the water is coming up to here, and so if I were to just stamp this portion of the stamp, then I think that would work quite well. So I will use my positioner again. And this time I'm going to use my smaller positioner. It's just a smaller piece. It's easier to work with the smaller stamp. And then I'm just going to stamp up the upper portion of it. And then I'm going to stamp it on my positioner. And then once I have it on there, I want to position it, and I think about like that will be good. I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And so I want to position it about like that. So I'll put my L back on here, and I'm going to re-ink my stamp. Let's zoom back out so you can see what I'm doing. I'll re-ink the stamp. And I don't want too much that's below the actual building itself, so I'll just kind of wipe this off with my stamp chamois. Okay, and now I want to stamp in my mountains, and I'm going to want it to maybe just ink down to where this is jutting out, so that when I stamp it, I'm not going to get anything further down than that, so I will just ink it down to that. Okay, I'm going to use alcohol markers. These are biannual, and I'm going to use BG1 and BG3. These are the blue grays. So I'm going to start by coloring the water with the lightest. Okay, I'm going to take the darker one, the BG3, and up in the shadows up here in the mountains. Okay, I'm going to use number 48. Okay, and I think I'll take some of my darker, the BG3, and okay, I'm going to take some of my BG1. Okay, now I'm going to take my Signo Uniball. This is the UM120 AC 0.1. Okay, for the building, I'm going to use a WG 0.5, this is a warm gray, and 94, which is kind of a reddish brown. And how I'm going to do this is I am going to touch the lighter marker to the tip of the darker marker. So I'm going to do the warm gray to the tip of the 94 and just go from the top down. Okay, I'm going to use my BG3 to add some additional shadows inside the building. Okay, I'm going to take my lighter one, BG1, and I'm going to go over this again, try and blend it in a bit. Then I'm going to take the chisel tip of my BG1 and I'm going to take my BG3 and I'm just going to kind of outline one and blend it out. Okay, I'm going to use my 104. So I'm going to take some more BG1 and just okay, now I want to do some more white here. Okay, and I'm going to take my 0.3 Copic multi-liner okay, the piece that's going to go on this one right here, I want to be kind of a continuation of the main theme. And so I'm going to want to, first thing is stamp the mountain range on the top of this. And I'm going to use this middle peak here. Okay, and I'm going to want to put the stamp from the Nature Set 2, the little path. I decided I liked the bigger trail as opposed to the smaller one, and so I'm going to put the bigger trail on here. And then I'll also use the snow mounds that were in the Nature Set 14. Okay, and then the man and the child in my people set. Okay, now I'll take my number 48 alcohol marker. G1, my blue-gray, the lightest color. Okay, I'm going to use slightly thicker, my UM153 white gel pen. Okay, and finished with this one. I've sprayed it with the acrylic coating, and now we'll go on to the next one. Okay, these three are the ones that are going to be these three along the middle. Okay, and I want these to kind of make a scene amongst themselves, so I'm going to line them up on here, and then I'm going to put a little bit of temporary adhesive on each of them and line them up. So that they're fairly straight. And then I'm going to take just a piece of scrap paper. And since I had adhesive on the back, they're on the piece of scrap paper. Okay, for these middle ones, I'm going to stamp this big snow scene. Okay, I'll take my BG3 Okay, and then from my Hero Arts October 2016 kit, and let's see, I'll put maybe the fox right there. Okay, and I think I will use the deer, and I'm going to put that deer. And I'm going to take my Copic multi-liner and I'm going to want to ground this fox, so I'm going to use my BG3 and put a little shadow under the fox. And I'm going to use my black alcohol marker okay, and even though this deer is a little off, off the bottom, I'm still going to ground it by just putting a thin line of darker color down at the very bottom. And I'm going to use my white gel pen again. Okay, so I've finished with these three now, and so I'll go outside and spray it with my UV clear acrylic coating. Okay, for the top portion, what I'm going to do for this top portion is stamp the mountains. Okay, I'll start coloring in the mountains. I'm going to use like before, the BG1 and the BG3. Okay, so here are the finished mountains, and I will go out and spray them. Okay, for the bottom one, I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is Winter Wonderland. Okay, now I want to give kind of the hint of snow, so I'll use my BG1 and just add a little bit of color to it, like that. Just a hint of color. Okay, now I'm going to want to start to assemble this together. So I'm going to take my big piece, and I'm going to take some Easy Runner Grand. Okay, I'll put this one on next. And now we'll put the middle ones in. Okay, next we'll put our mountains on. Okay, and then I cut out a couple of snowflakes using the snowflake die just on my glossy white paper. And I will take some of the BG1 that I've been using for the sky, and I will just color these snowflakes. Okay, and I'll use some multi-medium matte liquid adhesive. And then I'll use my little pair of tweezers to place them on here. Okay, and I also cut one of these little snowflakes out of the silver glitter cardstock, and I'll just glue it onto the big scene right here. And this is the trifold, the main panel and the center panels and the right-hand panel. And once again, to just show you the final portion, this is the 4-inch portion, this is 2-inch, 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 and then the final 2-inch, and then it was cut right down the middle in order to make the trifold part of it.